All right, Craig Wagner, Peter Christensen. This is page 4 of the new REPC.
We're just blowing through this thing.
And you'll probably notice that the videos are going to get shorter and shorter because the changes really were front-loaded.
There's not a lot on this one.
Yeah, this is all the yellow on page
Very little.
page 4. So 10.2, just a minor addition. Again, more just for a little bit of clarification. I don't think it necessarily changes any of the substance at all. But the last sentence where it describes that the issuing agent subject to buyer's rights under Section 12 below. And then Section 11, you've got the seller's disclosures. This is where, the old section was Section 7. So again, new location.
That is going to be a hard one.
Yes.
Section 7. What did you put in Section 7?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't remember what Section 7 was.
So,
Included items.
yeah. So Section 11 is a really important section. This is what the seller has to disclose as far as material information. You'll notice that there's some new language with regards to 11D and 11E, where it talks about, really this is about HOAs, but bylaws, fee and fine schedules of the HOA, and the reserve analysis.
Yeah, I think that's a good addition.
I do too. That's how you can kind of evaluate the strength and whether or not an HOA frankly follows their reserve analysis. And if they don't have one, which is contrary to what Utah law would require, that should give some
Red
indication.
flag.
Yeah, like that should give maybe a buyer some pause.
Might not be very well managed, that HOA.
There could be some special assessments in the future.
And that's really what you're looking for,
Yeah.
right? Is if they have inadequate reserves, you know that 20-year-old property is going to need some sort of upkeep in the next 10 years. And where are they going to get the money? They're going to have to assess.
Right, exactly. Okay, Section 12, this is where we start the conditions of purchase, which, again, on page 1, buyer has already indicated what conditions they
Right.
need. So this is where you get...
No check boxes in here to say,
Yeah.
is it conditioned?
And there's no missing checkboxes. Like before, I would get calls where they would put a deadline in, but they never
yeah.
check
Yeah.
a box, is or
Yeah.
is not. So you're going to really easily on page 1 know if something's applicable. So Section 12, there's only one minor change, and that's in 12.1a. There's language that describes lead-based paint as part of that hazardous substances.
I hope it does what you hope it will do.
I've got some hopes of what that'll do where it eliminates the lead-based paint addendum, not the disclosure, but the addendum, and it allows, in most instances, buyer can evaluate and test for lead-based paint as part of due diligence,
Yeah.
which I think they already can, but
Sure.
I think this would satisfy what the disclosure.
I hope it does. That would be great to simplify.
Fingers crossed. Section 12.2, the appraisal condition. Functionally, this is going to be very similar to how it already is functioning, but you may see, because of the deadline now being split, you may see more cancellations based on a low appraisal than just a financing
Especially
appraisal.
with that default 50% language in there.
So pay close attention to the deadline, like when did the buyer put their appraisal, because you want them to order that sooner rather than later as a seller. But notice that a buyer may have a right to cancel, but they're going to have to give a copy of the appraisal
Right.
and the notice.
And that was always ambiguous.
Right.
Some sent it over anyway. Some simply sent a notice saying it
Right.
appraised for low.
Yep.
And this just clarifies, says just send over the appraisal.
Exactly. And there's additional language at the end of 12.2a. Buyer's cancellation under Section 12.2a is separate and distinct from buyer's right to cancel under other sections of the REPC. So as long as a buyer gives a notice of cancellation and a copy of the appraisal, that's the section they're canceling.
Right.
Why is that important? Because the disbursement of the earnest money may be different.
Right.
Because the buyer would get all the earnest money back if they cancel based on a low appraisal.
Yeah, so make note of that the conditions in that finance condition that we highlighted on page 1 that said that giving up 50% of the earnest money to the seller is the default, that does not apply to canceling under the appraisal condition. That is special only to the finance condition.
Right. Excellent. And that is page 4 of the new
What?
REPC.
Shortest video yet.
Shortest video.